Good morning, Dan and Amy. We're coming to you live from Lake County Jail this morning, and to answer a text from A&B Davis's bowling ball, has Amy Jacobson punched out the largest inmate yet and established that Dan Proft is under her protection? She has indeed done that. So she runs this joint.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's very much like Orange is the New Black in here. The women
yeah.
in charge. Women in charge. And speaking of women in charge, Chief Jennifer Witherspoon joins us now. She's the director of jail diversion programming for the Lake County Jail. Chief Witherspoon, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us what jail diversion programming entails.
Well, actually, I'm the chief of inmate programming.
Okay.
And what I do is I develop programs for inmates so they don't come back.
So give us
give
us an example. You help them get their law degrees.
No, they have to pay like I had to do.
Yeah.
But we have cognitive behavior classes. We have NAAA. We have there's so many. Whatever it takes. What happens is the inmates send me inmate request forms stating, what programs they would like to see. If it's a feasible program and we think that there's evidence-based practices, we will put that program in place.
So some of it is incentivizing things like drug and alcohol, substance abuse programming to reduce their time, and other things are to prepare them. Well, that is too, but other things are kind of incentivizing them to live a productive, independent, law-abiding life after they are released.
Absolutely.
So Jason also? Oh my God.
Colazo.
Name assassinator. All right.
Right.
Hold up to it. So his plan, he gets out on Monday. We talked to him last hour. How have you tried to keep him focused and prepared him for life after jail?
Well, it was so funny when you said, do you have a plan? Every time I walk through the jail and I see inmates, they'll say, hi, Chief. And I say, hi, do you have a plan? Mm-hmm. So what we have in place is our reentry program. Our reentry program has expanded. Not only do we have for them, we give them resources on the outside that they can use, we're also developing a support group for ex-offenders. We've developed partnerships with different employers to help them get a job. And we also help them, direct them where they can get medical care and treatment if it's needed.
And in this case, Jason, this inmate we spoke with that Amy mentioned, he said he's going to work at a sheet metal factory when he gets out, so he's going to try to end the merry-go-round of in and out of prison.
Right. And another thing is a lot of times when ex-offenders do get out and they try to get a job, they're given these temporary jobs that may last for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days at the most, weeks. But what we try to do is give them full-time employment with these employers that we're partnering with.
Now, he had mentioned that he plays PS4 and all that. We know it's not all rainbows and unicorns here.
Right.
So what gave him the privileges to have a little bit of freedom?
Well, Jason is one of what we call our inmate workers, or I believe Jason works in the kitchen. So if you work somewhere within the jail, you're giving privileges. The other inmates that are in the general population do not receive those same privileges. They are housed in a different dorm away from the general population. So people can't see him playing the PlayStation 3 while they're not playing the PlayStation 3.
And so is this like kind of a tiered sort of incentive program?
Yes.
If you do these things, you get this privilege and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
And so is there any way that you guys, and I know it's going to be difficult, people get out of Lake County Jail and they may go somewhere else, but is there any way you're able to track the results of this programming or the recidivism rate among those who've passed through Lake County Jail?
Absolutely. We're doing all of those things. Our reentry specialist, Mr. Todd Fletcher, we have a spreadsheet of everyone that asked for reentry services. You got to remember, we can't force anyone once they leave our doors to do anything. And so what they do is they send a request form to inmate programming and say, I want reentry services. And so everyone that sends that sheet saying that, we track them to make sure that, okay, once they get out, okay, how you doing? Do you need anything? That goes on for about 6 months. Most jails do not do that. So we're unique.
And
in
when
that.
some of the politicians like George Ryan and Denny Hastert passed through there, did they want to get onto a life straight and narrow? Did they take advantage of the entry services so they could be gainfully employed once they got out of prison?
Well,
Did they get the high score on Call of Duty before Jason?
I don't know. I
Now,
don't know.
Chief Witherspoon, you have a fascinating story. You were born in Chicago, raised in the Robert Taylor homes?
Yes, I was. My mother. I was one of 7 kids. My mother was commissioner. Back then, it was called the Metropolitan Sanitary District. She was elected to that position, and my dad died when we were young, and it was 7 of us. And even after my mom was elected to that position, she stayed in the Robert Taylor homes for a while before Jane Byrne. To make sure some of the programs that she had put in place to assist people continued.
So how did you find your way up to Lake County?
Well, actually, I married one of those guys in the projects. My husband was in the U.S. Navy for 21 years, and when we were in our twilight years, that is before you get ready to retire, he got stationed here at Great Lakes.
Oh, okay.
At the Great Lakes,
Sure.
so that's how I got here to Lake County.
And how long have you been with Sheriff Kern?
Oh, since we both walked in the door on December the 6th, 2006. So I've been here for a while.
What is it like to work with prison population, try and get people to stop the cycle of destructive behavior? I mean, I'm sure it meets with mixed results, but it's got to be gratifying, fulfilling when you're able to help turn somebody around.
It is. It is. Here in Lake County, a lot of the people, when they leave, they stay here in Lake County. So I see them, from time to time walking on the street, and they'll yell, "Hey, Chief, I'm not out. I'm not back in. I have a plan. I'm using my plan." And it's funny because other people walking by, they don't know what's going on or what that other person is talking about. But it's very gratifying to see that.
And they must know that you don't want to mess with the chief because everybody calls her the chief on the street.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something going on there.
Yeah, yeah.
And what do you love most about your job?
I think I love everything that I do. Most people can't say that, and they can blow smoke and say, "Oh, yeah, I like my boss." No, I really like my boss. I like his ideas. I like what he stands for. So I think that's the best part of my job. I don't have any problem going to him and saying, "Hey, Sheriff, I think that this program would work well, with our inmates." And he'll say, "Go for it. Do it." So most people don't have that type of free reign from their boss, and I think that's the best part of my job.
She is Jennifer Witherspoon, or if she's known in Lake County, just simply the chief.
The chief.
The chief. She's the director of inmate programming at the Lake County Jail. Chief, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Dan and Amy coming to you from Lake County Jail.